they decided that criminals were being too harshly dealt with by the state and should get away with more crimes. They should effectively make crime not illegal. And that resulted in really bad things. And we all saw this. But then the right wants to put guns in everyone's hands. No, there is no right putting guns in people's hands in San Francisco. This is a fantasy. They are at fault. There is not a both sides here. I just think everyone needs to hear that. The mayor of New York, he's just not up for the job, folks. He's just not good at this.
Other members of the city council who are standing in your way of getting tough on crime, should they take a message from that election?
I believe we all should. Something I think is taking place in America and in New York. You have the numerical minority that are on the far right trying to put guns in the hands of everyone. And then you have a small number that's on the far left that believes we should not hold people accountable after committing crimes. They are shooting at each other, and caught in the middle are the everyday New Yorkers and Americans that are tired of this overproliferation of guns, and we should all take heed of what happened in San Francisco. You saw the San Francisco residents saying, we don't want to live this way.
Welcome back to Clay and Buck. That was the relatively new mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. And speaking as a New Yorker, let me say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know what, or he's just lying to you. There's no part of this problem that is that conservatives are putting guns in everyone's hands. No one argues for that. If someone doesn't want to own a gun, I don't want them to own a gun. If someone doesn't feel comfortable around firearms, I don't want them to own a firearm. This is a canard. This is a lie. This is a red herring, right? This is nonsense. And on the other side, though, not holding people accountable, they're mentioning that was on Scarborough's show, talking about what happened, Clay, in San Francisco. That is exactly the problem. So they say this, it's on both sides. Both sides have lessons to learn. That is false. The progressive prosecutors who took over the prosecutorial jobs in basically every major city in the country in the last 4 or 5 years, they decided that criminals were being too harshly dealt with by the state and should get away with more crimes. They should effectively make crime not illegal. And that resulted in really bad things. And we all saw this. But then the right wants to put guns in everyone's hands. No, there is no right putting guns in people's hands in San Francisco. This is a fantasy. They are at fault. There is not a both sides here. I just think everyone needs to hear that. The mayor of New York, he's just not up for the job, folks. He's just not good at this.
There is a massive increase in gun ownership in this country. But interestingly, and we'll talk a little bit about this, but our good friend Joy Behar, the dumbest person in media, had some takes on this in a moment. But interestingly, it's white, black, Asian, and Hispanic people, all different racial groups, buying guns because of the increase in crime and the fear that you are not safe in your own home or your own neighborhood. There are people out there right now who are listening to us that for much of their life never really felt unsafe in their neighborhoods. And now they're looking around and they're thinking to themselves, wait a minute, there was just a shooting down at that gas station. Somebody just got mugged over there at that dry cleaner. And you're thinking to yourself, man, I didn't know that this was going on to that extent. And then you also hear, hey, I called 911, and due to police understaffing, because we've demonized so many police and so many police departments out there don't have the resources to respond quickly, it might take 20 minutes for a police officer to get to your house or to get to where you need to be helped. And there are a lot of people saying, I want to be able to protect myself. And the fact, Buck, by the way, this Quinnipiac poll, we talk a lot about how do you get to 60% approval. I will say Joe Biden's doing it the opposite way. He's rapidly approaching 70% disapproval, which is kind of unheard of, right? Only 30% of people out there closely are saying, hey, Joe Biden's doing a good job as president. And that is providing its own form of clarity, right? Biden is doing so poorly that we're going to see a landslide election in November and people are going to start to take the country back.
He's not even likable. This was always mythology.
I agree.
that was pushed by the Democrat media. He's really corny, and Biden is really, it's the same canned phrases, the same lines, and he's pretty spiteful and kind of a jerk. And, you look at what's going on with his son right now, and the fact the media is not interested in that either. You get a real sense of the lengths they're willing to go to prop up a narrative, right? What they're willing to talk about and not talk about.
Also, not very smart, right?
Just
I
not
mean,
very
you
smart.
could criticize.
I've said this
just
a million
not a very
times.
Smart guy.
I had a lot of problems with Obama. He was smart.
Very
Biden,
bright. Yeah.
Not smart.